Consciousness. It's the one thing you're sure you have right now, the sense of being present, of experiencing this moment, of hearing these very words as if they're happening to you and you alone. Yet for all its familiarity, consciousness is more mysterious than almost anything else in the universe. As you settle into bed, ready to drift off, consider these 10 things about consciousness that simply don't make sense, and let the wonder help you slip into sleep. First, consider the basic mystery. Why does consciousness exist at all? Science can explain how your heart beats, how your lungs fill, how information travels along nerves. But why should any of this feel like anything? Why should there be an inner world, a sense of me, instead of just a complicated machine running in the dark? This is known as the hard problem of consciousness, and after centuries of thought, no one has a clear answer. Your brain, a lump of tissue weighing about 3 pounds, somehow gives rise to the colors, memories, hopes, and pains that fill your life. There's no obvious reason for it, and no agreed-upon explanation for how matter turns into mind. Despite centuries of philosophical debate and decades of scientific research, the origins of consciousness remain elusive. While we can map the brain's electrical activity and pinpoint regions involved in thought or emotion, this tells us little about how these processes give rise to the vivid tapestry of subjective experience. The gap between neural activity and personal awareness, often called the explanatory gap, remains unbridged, leaving us to wonder why consciousness emerges from physical matter at all. This enduring mystery, known as the hard problem of consciousness, asks why and how subjective experiences arise from physical processes in the brain. While neuroscience can map neural activity and pinpoint regions involved in sensation and emotion, it cannot explain why these functions are accompanied by an inner life, a vivid private world of thoughts and feelings. The nature of this gap between objective brain mechanisms and subjective awareness continues to challenge our understanding of what it means to be conscious. Second, think about the unity of experience. Each moment, you feel like a single unified person, not a bundle of disconnected processes. But your brain is divided into 2 hemispheres, each capable of its own thoughts and actions. In rare cases, split brain surgery has shown that these 2 halves can operate almost like separate people, each with its own perceptions and desires. Yet you never feel split. You feel whole. How does the brain knit together so many separate processes and sensations into a single, seamless experience? No one knows. Split brain patients, whose brains have been surgically divided to treat severe epilepsy, offer a fascinating window into the enigma of consciousness. When the connection between the brain's hemispheres is severed, each side can process information independently, sometimes even acting in opposition. Yet these individuals still report a unified sense of self, as if their consciousness remains whole despite the physical split. This phenomenon raises profound questions. Can one brain contain multiple minds? Or does our inner experience always remain singular? Our sense of time is not as objective as we might believe. The brain continuously constructs our experience of reality, piecing together fragments of sensory input into a coherent narrative. Time can stretch during moments of fear or excitement, yet fly by when we're absorbed in routine. This elasticity reveals that time, as we experience it, is a mental creation, shaped by attention, memory, and emotion, rather than a fixed external measure. Our reality is, in essence, a vivid illusion crafted by the brain. Third, reflect on the problem of other minds. You know you're conscious. But how do you know anyone else is? You can never be absolutely certain that anyone you meet, your friend, your partner, even your pet, isn't just acting conscious. Are they really experiencing the world, or only behaving as if they are? This is more than philosophical nitpicking. It's a real puzzle, because consciousness is not something you can see or measure directly. You simply have to trust that others are awake inside, just as you are. This question strikes at the very heart of the consciousness debate. Are we the architect of our own thoughts, or merely passengers observing a sophisticated simulation crafted by our brains? Neuroscience reveals that much of our mental activity happens beneath conscious awareness, suggesting that what we consider the self might be just the tip of a vast hidden iceberg. Yet the vividness of our inner world feels undeniably real, Blurring the line between authentic selfhood and intricate simulation, the question of whether consciousness can exist outside the body is one of the most intriguing and debated topics in philosophy and neuroscience. Some propose that consciousness is a product of brain activity, bound entirely to our physical form. Others suggest it might transcend the body, as hinted at in near-death experiences or certain spiritual traditions. Despite anecdotal reports, there is currently no scientific evidence to confirm consciousness independent of a living brain. The mystery remains unsolved, inviting further exploration and open-minded inquiry. Fourth, consider the strange way time works in your mind. Sometimes, a single second can feel like an eternity. Think of the moment before you step on stage, or the instant before a car crash. Other times, hours disappear in a flash, like when you lose yourself in a good book. Your brain doesn't perceive time like a clock. It stretches and compresses it, depending on your attention and emotions. But how does this happen? And why does consciousness play by its own rules when it comes to time? When considering whether other animals or even artificial intelligence are conscious, we enter a realm filled with uncertainty and debate. Many animals demonstrate remarkable intelligence and emotions, suggesting they may possess some form of conscious awareness, though we cannot directly access their subjective experiences. With AI, the question becomes even more complex. Despite impressive feats, current AI lacks genuine feelings or self-awareness. Ultimately, the boundaries of consciousness remain blurred, challenging our understanding of mind across species and machines. Self-awareness lies at the heart of what it means to be conscious. It is the profound ability to recognize oneself as an individual, distinct from the environment and others. This sense of identity, however, is not fixed or easily defined. Throughout our lives, our self-image shifts with new experiences and memories, shaped by both internal thoughts and external influences. Yet, despite its ever-changing nature, the core feeling of a singular I remains, an enduring mystery that continues to captivate philosophers and scientists alike. Fifth, ponder the riddle of sleep and dreams. Every night, your consciousness fades away. Then sometimes, it returns in vivid, surreal worlds where the impossible feels real. Dreams are utterly convincing while they last, and yet, when you wake, they dissolve into confusion. Why do we dream? What purpose do these nightly journeys serve? And how does the brain create such detailed virtual realities? Sleep is a blackout for your conscious mind, yet dreams remind you that something strange is always simmering beneath the surface. Dreams transport us to worlds both familiar and strange, where logic dissolves and imagination reigns. In these nightly journeys, our minds weave narratives from fragments of memory and emotion, blurring the boundary between reality and illusion. Altered states of consciousness, induced by meditation, trance, or psychedelic substances, further reveal the mind's remarkable flexibility. In these moments, perception shifts, time distorts, and the self can seem to dissolve. Such experiences remind us that consciousness is not static, but ever-changing and deeply mysterious. Sixth, marvel at the limits of your awareness. Right now, you're aware of these words: the feeling of your body on the bed, perhaps the faint hum of a distant appliance, but you're blind to almost everything else. Billions of bits of information flood your senses every second, yet only a thin trickle reaches your conscious mind. How does your brain choose what to let in and what to ignore? And why do you sometimes notice things you weren't paying attention to at all, like suddenly hearing your name spoken in a crowded room? The question of what happens to consciousness after death remains one of humanity's greatest mysteries. While science can trace the shutting down of brain activity at the end of life, it has yet to explain if or how subjective experience persists beyond this point. Throughout history, cultures and philosophies have offered diverse theories, from the continuation of awareness in an afterlife to the idea that consciousness simply ceases. Ultimately, this profound question invites both wonder and humility, as its answer lies beyond current knowledge. Seventh, wonder about self-consciousness, the sense that you are not just experiencing, but aware that you are experiencing. You can think about your own thoughts, worry about your worries, imagine yourself in other people's eyes. But why did evolution bother to give us this extra layer? Most animals seem to get by without it. And yet, Self-awareness is at the core of what it means to be human. It lets you plan, reflect, regret, and hope, but it also brings anxiety, embarrassment, and doubt. It's a double-edged sword, and its origin remains unexplained. Eighth, think about the now, the present moment. Your consciousness feels anchored in the present, even though your brain is always playing catch-up. It takes time for light to hit your eyes, for signals to reach your brain, for your mind to assemble the story of what's happening. Yet you never notice a delay. Your experience feels immediate and real, as if you're riding the crest of the wave of time. But in reality, you're always living a tiny fraction of a second in the past, and your brain is stitching together a seamless illusion of now. Ninth, reflect on the mystery of free will. Do you really choose your actions, or do your choices simply bubble up from hidden processes in your brain? Neuroscientists have found that your brain often decides what to do before you're aware of making a choice. Yet you feel as if you are the author of your thoughts, the pilot of your actions. Is free will an illusion, or is there something real about the sense of agency you experience? No one has resolved this paradox, and it sits at the heart of philosophy, psychology, and even law. Finally, consider the question of altered states. Consciousness is not fixed. Meditation, hypnosis, drugs, and even intense emotions can radically change the texture and content of your experience. Some people report feeling at one with the universe. Others lose all sense of self. These altered states reveal that consciousness is not a single thing, but a spectrum of possibilities. And yet, we barely understand how the brain produces even ordinary waking life, let alone these extraordinary experiences. Neuroscience, philosophy, and metaphysics each bring unique perspectives to the study of consciousness. Neuroscience seeks to uncover the biological mechanisms underlying awareness, mapping neural pathways and brain activity in hopes of revealing how subjective experience emerges. Philosophy, meanwhile, grapples with the conceptual and ethical implications of consciousness, questioning the nature of mind and reality itself. Metaphysics pushes the boundaries even further, exploring possibilities beyond empirical observation and challenging us to consider the very fabric of existence and perception. As you lie there, letting these 10 puzzles swirl in your mind, you might notice a gentle feeling of awe. The more you think about consciousness, the more it slips through your fingers, familiar, yet forever out of reach. And maybe, as you drift off, you'll realize that even sleep is just another mysterious chapter in the ongoing story of being aware. Let your mind wander over these mysteries. Let them soften the edges of your day. In the end, not understanding is its own kind of comfort, a gentle paradox that eases you toward dreams, where the strangest mysteries of consciousness await. Sleep well, and let your mind rest in the wonder of all you do not know.